All right, wine enthusiasts, if you're ready to broaden those palates a bit, today's the day because we're diving into a corner of the wine world that deserves way more attention. Croatia.
You got that right. We're talking Croatian wines, and we're going deep using articles and excerpts from this book, Vinos da Croatia, to really uncover, what makes this place so special.
I love it. And we're not just talking about like casually adding another country to your mental wine list.
hmm
By the end of this deep dive, I'm hoping you're swirling, sniffing, you name it, like a total pro, ready to impress your friends with that Croatian wine knowledge. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And more importantly, understanding why these wines deserve a place at your table, or in your glass at least.
Exactly. So get this. This is a place where winemaking goes way back. Like, we're talking ancient Greeks and Romans planting vines, medieval monks tending those vineyards. That's the kind of legacy we're dealing with here.
It's pretty amazing, and you can really taste that history in the wines. They've got a bunch of different regions in Croatia, and each one has its own thing going on. A bit of a setback in the 19th century, though phylloxera.
Oh, right. The phylloxera plague
Yeah.
wiped out a ton of vineyards across Europe back then.
It was brutal. But instead of just, calling it quits, Croatian winemakers, they got resourceful.
So instead of jumping on that bandwagon with international grapes, they kind of had to stick to their guns, huh?
Yeah, exactly. They embraced their native grapes, varieties that were tougher, naturally resistant to the plague. That decision, which, let's face it, started out of normicity, that's a big part of what makes Croatian wine so unique today.
Wow. It really makes you think about how much history is like actually bottled up in a wine, you know. It's not just about the grape itself.
It's the whole story. The resilience is part of the flavor.
I love that. So, okay, let's get specific. Tell me about these Croatian wine regions. Like, where is all this deliciousness actually happening? Paint us a picture.
All right, so picture this. You've got three main regions: Istria, Dalmatia, and Slavonia. And each one is completely shaped by its own unique geography, its own climate.
Okay, so three distinct personalities, all from one tiny country. Already exceeding my expectations here.
Oh, you're going to be so impressed by the variety, seriously. So, first up, you've got Istria. Think peninsula in the Adriatic Sea, sun-drenched hillsides, vineyards that basically like dip their toes in the sea. It's
It's like a
gorgeous.
dream. But I mean, got to be a totally different scene than like inland Slavonia, right?
Oh, completely. Slavonia is like the heartland of Croatia, further away from the coast, so it's got more of a, well, it kind of reminds me of some of those classic French wine regions, a little bit cooler, definitely more of that continental climate.
Okay, interesting. And then, of course, you've got Dalmatia, which is home to those like stunning islands you always see in magazines, right?
Yeah.
I'm dying to know what the wine's like from there.
Ah, Dalmatia. It's something else. You're talking rugged coastline, vineyards clinging to islands.
I'm imagining like Hatevar and Corcula, all those gorgeous spots.
Yeah, you got it. And man, that Dalmatian sunshine,
Yeah.
relentless, perfect for those bold red wines. When you want a wine that really makes a statement, that's Dalmatia for you.
I love it. It's like each one of these regions is its own little microcosm of winemaking magic happening. Okay, but let's be real for a second. When it comes to Croatian grapes specifically, most people would probably draw a blank. Like, what should people be looking for when they're, browsing those wine shop shelves? What are those must-try grapes?
Yeah, I'll be honest, beyond like one or two names, I'm kind of in the dark here. So give us the rundown, the Croatian grape varieties, the ones that should be on everybody's radar. What are we looking for?
Okay, so you've got your big players, like, for instance, Malvasia Istriana. That's like the queen of their white wines.
Okay.
Bursting with, you get that citrus, those floral notes.
Yeah, nice and refreshing.
Mm.
It's super food friendly, which makes sense. I mean, you think about Istria, seafood, all that good stuff.
Totally. Okay, so,
Uh-huh.
all right, so that's if I'm in the mood for something light. If I want something with a little more, oomph, we're talking reds, what am I looking for?
If you want a red that can really hold its own, you got to try Plavac Mali.
Okay.
This is what put them on the map in terms of reds, big, bold. You've got your dark fruit, little spice, nice dry finish. And fun fact, it's actually related to Zinfandel.
No way.
Yeah, so you're going to notice some of those similarities, those jammy fruit notes.
See, this is what I love, right? There's always that, like, connection. It's like, you go to a family reunion, you meet somebody, and you're like, oh, you're related to them. I would have never guessed.
It's so true, yeah, and it makes you appreciate the interconnectedness of the wine world even more.
Totally. So Malvasia Istriana, Plabak Mali, dot, What else? What other hidden gems are hiding out in these Croatian vineyards?
Oh man, so many. They've got this grape, Graševina. You can think of this as like the chameleon grape of Croatia.
Okay.
It grows everywhere, and they make it in so many different styles: dry, off-dry, sparkling, even dessert wines. And oh my gosh, it's delicious with some spicy Croatian cevapi,
Graševina.
Graševina.
Okay. I'm writing these down.
Write that down. It's a good one.
It really does feel like a whole secret language we're uncovering here, these grapes, you know. And our research mentioned a few others too, like Babić, Pušip, Maraština.
Right. And that's what's so cool. It really is like stepping back in time, you know? These are ancient varieties that have just been thriving under the radar this whole time.
It really does open your eyes to how much more there is to explore.
Absolutely.
Because we get stuck in our ways, right?
Right.
We find our favorites, we think we know.
Right. We get comfortable.
But there's a whole world out there. Okay, but we cannot talk about wine without talking about food. I mean, they go hand in hand, right?
Oh, 100%. And especially in Croatia, the food and wine have evolved together. They
Yes.
belong together. You know, you've got those fresh, vibrant flavors, that definite Mediterranean influence.
Okay, stop. You're making me hungry. So let's talk pairings.
Whoa.
What are we putting on the table alongside these Croatian wines? Give me the goods.
All right. So, you know, we were talking about Malvasia Istriana before. You get yourself a bottle of that. You have to pair it with some fresh seafood.
Okay.
The acidity cuts through that richness. It's just
Like a palate cleanser in between.
perfect harmony. Exactly. Now, if you're going for a bolder red, like that Plavak Mali we talked about, that's where you want something hearty, maybe a nice lamb dish,
Okay.
slow braised, maybe some peppercorn in there, some sausage, anything with those really rich flavors. You don't want it to get lost, you know?
You don't want the wine to overpower.
Right. It's got to be a dance. And then our good friend Graševina, you can go in so many different directions with it. I mean, it's light enough to do a grilled fish, but you could also do something like a creamy pasta.
Wow, so versatile. Okay, but I mean, come on, you can't just tease us with these vague pairings. What are the specific Croatian dishes? I want names. I want details.
All right. You must be thinking of pači takata. Have you heard of that?
Pan dakota. Yeah, that's the one. It's like a slow cook beef stew, right?
Yeah.
I remember jotting it down, said it's a must try.
You got it. It's like this really special occasion dish, Dalmatian region. Traditionally, they marinate the beef in wine, which naturally, you got to use Plavak Mali for that.
Adds a whole other layer of flavor.
Totally. Or, okay, if we're sticking with the seafood theme, you have to try brudet.
Brudet, yes. Okay, that's the fish stew, right? Simmered with, oh man, what all goes in that? Tomatoes, wine.
It's basically a whole tour of the Adriatic in a bowl, mussels, fish, whatever's fresh.
Oh man, that sounds amazing. And naturally, we already know what we're drinking with that.
You know it, Malvasia Istriana, that crisp, refreshing.
The perfect counterpoint to all those rich flavors. See, this is making me think, like, you could plan a whole trip around this.
Oh, yeah.
Go to Croatia, hit up each region, and just, like, eat and drink your way through it.
Honestly, more and more people are. Wine tourism in Croatia, it's like blowing up right now. People are realizing, like, you can go to these gorgeous vineyards, these little wineries. They've got festivals.
It's an experience.
Yeah,
You know,
this whole package.
it's not just about, like, what's in the glass. It's about the story, the passion.
The place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But, okay, let's be real for our listeners who are like, all right, I'm sold. Where can I find these wines? What's the best way to get your hands on some Croatian magic?
You know what? It's getting easier and easier. Keep an eye out. You might be surprised. A lot of wine shops are starting to stock it. Or, of course, you've got online retailers. Don't be afraid to ask either.
Yeah. Tell them you're on a mission to branch out, see what they got. This has been so eye-opening. We really only scratched the surface here, though, right?
Oh, totally. There's so much more to discover.
But that's the beauty of it, right? So as we wrap things up here, I keep coming back to, like, the resilience of those Croatian winemakers.
Oh, right.
Sticking to their guns, embracing what makes them unique, even when it would have been easier to follow the crowd.
Makes you think maybe there are some other areas in life where we could all, embrace our own terroir, so to speak.
Ooh, I like that. That's something to ponder. It's like that lingering finish on a great wine. Makes you think. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but I'm telling you, this conversation is just getting started. So to all our listeners out there, cheers to you, happy exploring, and as always, happy deep diving.
Cheers.